Glider 7-2 Launch and Recovery Procedures, Maneuvers and Flight. Let's dive into ground launch takeoff procedures. When we're ground launching, we need to pay special attention to our tow hook, specifically one with an automatic back release feature. This little guy is crucial because if, for some reason, we can't release the tow line during launch, it could end up pulling our glider to the ground. So, before each flight, make sure to test that back release feature to keep things running smoothly. Now, there are two types of tow hooks: the center of gravity, CG, hook and the nose hook. For ground launches, especially in training and high-performance gliders, we often use a center of gravity, CG, tow hook. Why? Well, it lets us have full control without the ground pull messing things up. Attaching at the center of gravity is key to avoid overloading the horizontal stabilizer and elevator. But, keep in mind, the center of gravity, CG, hook may have some limitations when it comes to releasing the tow line under pressure. When it comes to signals, they're like our secret language with the ground crew. Visual signals are crucial, especially when launching with an automobile or a winch where distances can be substantial. Colored flags or paddles are our go-to tools for pre-launch signals, helping us communicate across the field. We might also use voice communications for more complex info. Just remember, never attach that tow line until the whole crew is on board and ready. Now, crosswind takeoffs can be a bit tricky with a center of gravity, CG, hook because the glider may want to weather vane into the wind more easily. And be cautious about kiting on takeoff, especially if the center of gravity, CG, is near the aft limit. It requires staying on your toes to handle the interaction with the wind. Let's dive into the important aspects of ground launches for gliders. Ensuring the correct tow speeds is absolutely critical. You see, each glider certified for ground launches has a maximum tow speed, and it's plastered right there for everyone to see. Whether it's an automobile launch or a winch launch, the pilot needs to stick to or stay below this speed to avoid any structural issues with the glider during the tow. Now, automobile launches are pretty rare nowadays, but when they happen, the pilot and the driver need to be on the same page about ground speeds. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation. You need to consider things like surface wind, speed increase during launch, and the wind gradient during climb. And hey, always throw in a safety factor to be on the safe side. And let's not forget crosswind takeoffs, they bring their own set of challenges. The glider tends to weather vane into the wind during the takeoff roll and drifts towards the downwind side after liftoff. If there's a strong crosswind, there's even more tendency to drift downwind. So, when laying out the tow line, if there's space, do it slightly into the wind to ease that initial takeoff roll. Now, winch launches are a different game. The operator applies full power until the glider reaches a 30-degree angle above the horizon, then starts reducing power gradually. By the time the glider hits 70 degrees, you're down to idle. It involves precise power adjustments, with the operator keeping a close eye on signals from the pilot. During the climb out, especially in crosswind conditions, the glider pilot needs to establish a wind correction angle to prevent drifting downwind. That's crucial for a smooth climb and a safe release of the tow line at the top. Remember, it's all about maintaining control and ensuring safety, whether it's an automobile launch, a winch launch, or dealing with crosswinds. Let's talk about the ins and outs of a normal into the wind launch for gliders. Before we even get off the ground, everyone involved, the glider pilot, ground crew, and launch equipment operator, needs to be on the same page with launch signals and procedures. Once the necessary checklists are done, and everyone's set, the glider pilot signals the ground crew to hook up the tow line. This is a critical step, and the release mechanism needs to be checked for proper operation. The ground crew member should then clear both takeoff and landing areas once the glider pilot signals readiness. After making sure the coast is clear, the ground crew signals the launch equipment operator to take up slack in the tow line. With the slack removed, final checks are made, and the ground crew signals to begin the takeoff. Now, here's a golden rule. Never connect a glider to a tow plane or tow line unless the pilot is ready for flight. If, for some reason, the pilot has to exit the glider, the tow line should be released and disconnected immediately. The tow line used for ground launches has some interesting effects on the glider. It's challenging to prevent the glider from moving forward as the long tow line tightens due to its elasticity. To counter this, a small amount of slack is left before the launch begins. The pilot needs to be ready for the launch, and if it starts before the pilot gives the signal, a prompt tow line release is in order to avoid issues. During the launch, the pilot should hold the stick forward in the initial seconds to prevent kiting. As the glider accelerates and lifts off, the pilot gradually raises the nose to the proper pitch attitude, avoiding excessive climb angles. Monitoring airspeed is crucial, ensuring it's adequate for launch but not exceeding the maximum permitted ground launch tow airspeed. As the launch progresses, the pilot gradually eases the nose up, reaching the optimum pitch attitude for climb at around 200 feet above ground level. Continuous monitoring of airspeed is essential during this phase. If something goes awry, like a towline break or power loss, the pilot has sufficient altitude to release the towline and adjust for a safe landing. Finally, as the glider nears its maximum altitude, it levels off to reduce the rate of climb. The pilot gently lowers the nose to reduce tension on the towline and pulls the towline release to ensure a clean departure. If all else fails, the back release mechanism of the towhook should automatically release the towline as the glider overtakes and passes the launch vehicle or winch. And that's a successful into-the-wind launch for you. Navigating the climb out and release phase during ground launches introduces a unique flight experience where the relationship between pitch attitude and airspeed is inverted. Pulling back on the stick increases airspeed, while pushing forward decreases it. This reversal is a consequence of the glider's wings diverting the towing force of the launch vehicle upward, facilitating a swift climb. The greater this diversion from horizontal pulling to vertical lifting, the faster the airspeed. Common errors during ground launches encompass issues such as improper glider configuration, initial flight control positioning, misinterpretation of visual launch signals, inadequate crosswind procedures, deviations from the correct climb profile, faulty corrective actions for airspeed and pitch adjustments, exceeding maximum launch airspeed, and errors in the towline release procedure. Addressing these potential pitfalls underscores the necessity for meticulous attention to detail, adherence to procedures, and continuous vigilance throughout the climb out and release phase, emphasizing the importance of pilot proficiency for a safe and successful launch experience. If you click like and subscribe and leave a comment, we will provide a coupon for a free PDF download, one of 9 ebooks. However, each individual can only download up to 1 out of 9 ebooks for free.